Today is September 23rd, 2025. This is 5 p.m. Eldridge Electric and Water Utility Board. Call to order. Gage, roll call, please.
Peterson,
Present.
Gooden,
Present.
Patovich,
Present.
Hamilton,
Present.
Bristly.
Here. Public comment. Do you have any public comment tonight from anyone? But on number 3, approval of tonight's agenda. Anybody had a chance to take a look? Any changes? Motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Patovich,
Second.
second by Peterson. Favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. Okay. Approval of number 4, approval of the utility board meeting minutes from September 9th, 2025. Anything need to be corrected? Motion to approve? Motion by Hamilton,
Second.
second by Patovich. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. Number 5, financial administrative, consideration to approve bills payable. Anybody have any questions? Couple things that I just wanted to
I had one
understand.
in the FR, like what employees those are for.
How much was it? I don't.
Here's 800.
Well, there's a couple of FR clothing, one for $292 and one for $388.
I would imagine probably,
Devin and
yeah, Devin and Dalton probably bought jeans and shirts out of their clothing allowance.
Yeah, it says one's for Dalton, one's for Devin.
Yep,
Yeah,
they bought clothes, long sleeves, t-shirts and jeans probably.
okay. Looks like a few entries in here for Allison Wright. What was
So those are the three, let's see. April, May, and June 2025 invoices, and those are the portions that were related to, either the Dickinson invoices and the, trial,
okay,
things that were strictly, or at least shared utility
yeah,
services.
okay. And then ISG had, it looks like full hydraulic analysis. Was this something in addition that was outside of what their agreement scope of the work?
Nope, that
Okay,
could be
then.
progress billing on
Okay,
the PER and hydraulic model.
okay. Anybody else? Motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Peterson,
Second.
second by Patovich. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. All right. Moving on to number 5B, consideration to approve resolution 2025-15. Electric and water repealing resolution 2022-010 electric water establishing changes to electric department scales. So Sadie, can you provide some background on that? I think we got the email packet, but
Yep, so, at the last board meeting, when we approved to adjust the foreman wage to that $100,000, at the time, we didn't realize with the current resolution as it states that foreman makes $1.50 over journeyman, that would unintentionally raise everyone else's wages from there. So this just, amends our resolution to state that the foreman will make $2.55 over journeyman. To keep the foreman at the 100,000 and then the rest of the, positions at their current wages.
we had a chance to take a look at that. Any questions? Motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Patovich. Thank you. Second by Hamilton, and the resolution will need a roll call vote, please. Gage?
Peterson,
Aye.
Gooden.
Aye.
Patovich,
Aye.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Bristly.
Aye. Motion carries. Yep. Okay, next item, 5C, discussion on interest rates and terms for some T-bills. Also included in our package, and I believe there was some information that Barry Vossler, provided some options here. So I guess, last time when we went down that road with, T-bills, it was just basically something that we moved, that occurred without having to wait for the auction rates, I think. This is a little bit different.
No, so the T-bills, the way, that it was invested in prior is the same way that it would work if you did it again here.
Okay.
There wasn't a resolution, there wasn't an approved amount, all of, those steps that need to take place prior.
Sure.
So if you were looking at doing a T-bill again and doing that the same way, Barry gave us kind of a range of where the current T-bills are trading, which gives us a pretty good indication of where they would be, if we were to invest in something similar in the near future.
Mhm.
I also put some information in the memo regarding the last investment in T-bills and what that interest rate was, as well as what John Burmeister had previously recommended for the water revenues and what could be safely invested from those operating funds right now. And then I also included some information about just the money market and certificate of deposit investments and the comparable information on those. So if the utility board does want to move forward and invest an amount of funds, what they would need to decide is how much, what investment option they would want to use. And then if they're going to go with T-bills, then we would need to amend the depository resolution at the next meeting to add that financial provider to that resolution. And then also do a resolution to determine what that investment is going to be, what project purposes it would be. If you're going to allow it to renew for a certain number of terms, how many terms will you allow it to renew without staff bringing it back for further approval?
So we have to earmark each time we invest correctly. I mean, well, the water's separate from the electricity part of it.
Correct.
So we have to have a project for each one of those. So,
At least a general statement, like capital improvement.
so we have more for
Enough.
the electric than we do for the water.
Correct.
So for the electric, can we use like as a project, burying all the overhead lines into the ground?
Yep.
We could use that, I mean, and then update our city a little bit from using that project.
Correct.
I mean, there's, Gabe, you know, sometimes trees fall, don't they? Well, if there's no line above.
You are doing quite a bit.
Exactly. So if there's no line above, it's gonna make their job cleaner and easier also. So I know on the south side of town, they started, that was back when Dan Gluns was still here, so that's been over 20 years ago. And they started putting them all in the ground back then.
Any new service or new
Yep.
lines, anything
Yep.
new coming into town will be underground from here on.
Yep.
We do-
So we can also take all the old ones, I believe, right, and put them in the ground. It's possible.
It is
right?
possible, it would be a lot of,
But, you know, we can also update our city by doing that, so. It's better than leaving the money sit into an account, making no money, basically.
Mhm.
So you're gonna update your city by using money that's already there.
Well, so if we did nothing with it, it says the rate currently is hovering around 3.43 for our, utility funds account.
Mhm.
So that's if we did nothing, correct?
Yep.
So,
It's been at 3.43 since March each month,
Sure.
where it's landed for the money market.
and,
Probably gonna drop them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
Drop the rates.
yeah.
so, it looks like we have some options here, 4% at 17-week. To around 4.31 for a 4-week investment. I think that's what we did last time, was the 4-week, correct?
Yes.
That's a short term.
Yeah, yeah.
I like the 4-week option.
I like that too. I mean, it's, obviously, if the rates go down, then, you know, we'll have to roll with the roll the punches then, is, 4 weeks, but, again, I think my appetite would be more of a 4 week investment. And so the minimum is 100,000, last time I think we did 2 million,
But this is just talking about the water, what we can take, right?
Correct.
What we could do if we wanted to say 2 million, like we could do 500 from water and 2 million from
Electricity.
electric.
So
What,
John did not do any analysis on the electric funds. He probably could fairly easily take a look and make a recommendation, but he hasn't done an analysis of those funds. And I don't know, 2 million is probably above where you would want to comfortably invest in the electric funds even.
yeah. So I see the recommendation of 500 to 750 for the water. And I guess we can start there. Is there interest in maybe 500,000 on a 4 week, or are you thinking more?
I say go in the middle, 6.
6?
It's a starting point.
Yep. So for the water side, we could look at 600,000 on a 4 week, investment. Is that good with what everybody's thinking in line with? Okay, so now moving over to the electric side. Maybe we just wanna start with 1 million on the electric side.
I'm fine with that.
Does he have to do a full analysis and give it back and then we bring it back again, or we just?
I mean, I can ask, yeah, if you want to give me an amount to ask him about, I can check and see, with him if he supports that, or if he has a recommendation of something lower.
Sure.
I mean, is everybody good with the 1 million?
I'm good with 1 million.
751 million. I mean, we have a lot more in that fund.
For the electric side, yeah. So 600 for the water and 1 million then for the electric.
And that
What rates were these?
1.3 is
Well,
480.
What's the date they were given at that rate?
Those were the first 2 weeks of September. That's what they were trading at the auction at that point. So those are the ones that are currently in trading for people that bought those the first 2 weeks of September.
Just be aware that it's gonna,
Yeah, I mean, this, in a couple of months, if rates continue to drop, it's.
Especially in the short term, 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's gonna drop that too, so.
They're very close in rates with the money
Yeah.
market of the T-bills.
Not too far apart, really.
Maybe we provide that fund a little more than where we'll be at now, so.
and that's the only dates you've got, a 4 week and a 17 week?
No, there's a couple of ranges in between there. I think there's a 4, a 6, maybe a 12. There was ranges in between 4 to 17 weeks looking at, the terms that were expressed before you get up to longer terms. And then those, percentages were anywhere from 4 to 4.3. So they were ranging all over in between.
I guess my opinion is that, we know it's gonna drop from where these are at. If they haven't already, but the range is in between there. It'd be better off to take a little bit longer time period to keep that rate locked in.
The longer rates, or the longer terms, like the 17 weeks were closer to the 4%, where the 4 weeks were a little bit higher. So the higher rates are on the shorter terms for the T-bills.
Then you've got the purchase fee though, each time, which isn't a major amount of money, but it's still a fee.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's a temptation, I think, to go as long as we could, but I mean, it's, if something comes up and the funds are needed, I like the idea of
The short term.
in and out, yeah. Could we,
Could we go just some short term, some long term? I mean, what's,
This,
Stack it.
I don't know what they're recommending, how much would go, and I don't know if that goes off the percentage that we have available. But, I mean, we could go so much long term for 17 weeks too.
Well, I don't know that we need to go that far and take the low end of the scale for the rates, but, you know, do we need the money for the next 3 months or 2 months?
Right,
I don't know.
As long as you got the highest return with the shortest
right.
length, that's where you're,
But the problem is, Ryan, though, when we go to roll it over, because we know that they're gonna go down.
Right.
You know, they're talking 2 more cuts by the end of the year, so. Don't know what those are gonna be. I'm fine. Whatever everybody wants to do.
we look at 6 or 8 weeks, maybe that's. 1 to 8 weeks,
Sure.
like, or,
we should fall somewhere between 4 and 4.3, so. Okay, so
4 weeks is fine. It doesn't matter to me.
we gotta get an indication because of that 4 weeks, you're gonna see the first drop. So you'll be able to gauge what your next investment is, whether you wanna look at it.
but this time we would just need to kind of provide what amounts we're looking at, and then there would need to be a follow-up before we take any action, right?
Yep, there will be a resolution at the next meeting.
Yep. Okay,
Go ahead and.
so let's target 1 million with the electric, 600,000 with the water. And maybe focus in on a 6 or 8 week term. Okay. More information to come. All right, moving on to 5D, discussion and consideration to approve amending utility billing policy. So I think we saw something on that as well. Sadie?
So a couple amendments, one of them was concerning the budget billing. I know we've talked about it before, but we just kind of review those differently now. We look at them quarterly, so right now the requirement is that they have to have residency for 12 months. We have a lot of new residents that ask for the budget billing. With reviewing it every 3 months, I don't see that that's necessarily, necessary anymore, so just changing that to 6 months. And then removing the language that we're settling the accounts every year. We don't do that anymore now that we review them and kind of fluctuate. Residents have the option to settle at any point, so. And then adding, verbiage for the medical stay. This is something under the Iowa Administrative Code that they, give customers a 30-day medical stay or a postponement of disconnection if they can, basically provide a doctor's note that shows that it would be in a special danger to their health. We are only required to honor it one in a year. This is another thing that has come up. We've had residents kind of abuse it, so I just felt it would be necessary to have it in there.
and then like, say like Mid-American and some of the other ones, like maybe budget billing, like off the get-go, like what is, like, in terms of the city, why wait that 6 months?
So our system based it on their average, so it'll take that 6 months and set that budget bill based on that. So if we didn't have any prior billing, we wouldn't have an average to set that.
Houses and stuff like that.
Wouldn't it go off the previous,
Previous.
and it's like the previous person whose name it was in to average it out?
We can definitely do that.
It's just not gonna always be accurate, because some people
Right.
use less,
Everyone's
Sure,
consumption
some
is
people use
different,
more.
but I mean,
so that's where it gets.
it's still an option. Like I said, we review it every 3 months, so if it needs to be changed at that point, we can do that too.
I would just think like in line with other utilities, like that do it that way. I mean, they're large companies too. I mean, they just average, whether you buy a new house or renting from somebody or something like that, like it might be beneficial for like the community if there was something quicker.
So, yeah, even that 6 months seems like quite a stretch if somebody wants to do the budget billing, does that mean you would have prior history? I mean, again, it's, the only problem would be is you shortchange yourself if you weren't collecting enough, and then the subtle update of August or April 1st would, might come as a shock to some if they didn't.
So, yeah, and that's why we're just removing that. It stated in there before that it rolls into their new budget bill when they settle, but I spoke to our software and it doesn't. It's owed that month and then their new budget bill starts the next billing cycle. It does catch a lot of people off guard when they have these big balances that come due. That's why quarterly now we review them to kind of keep them in that happy medium place.
Okay.
Right now, the way it sets up, if their budget bill for 12 months and then at the end of the 12 months, they have to pay the difference.
So whether it's a credit or a charge, which we haven't been practicing it that way for at least a year. We've been reviewing it quarterly, but that language is still in that resolution,
I
so.
can see how that could get,
Doesn't Mid-Americans just roll over, like if you're below your budget? Your budget stays the same whatever you started with unless it goes up a bunch. Or I think they, but it say like whatever, you got your budget variance and final thing and you were under it, they just roll that over and
Right.
apply it. But if you're like substantially over and need to adjust it, then you have your true up of it.
Even with the 6 month snapshot, is there any risk to that because of the certain time of year that they start that 6 month snapshot because costs are higher or lower? And I would be worried about the lower costs depending on what months it is too.
I think they do it as a year in the other utility, like
Right.
the larger ones do it as a year average.
But if the costs are different in the non-peak months, that
So
might
I think
offset that.
because we're reviewing it every 3 months and we're able to, if it is going up, we're able to change that amount so that they're not getting too far behind.
Yeah, so their summer rates, we've got the winters, fall, spring, summer rates, and so.
Yeah.
They did that one.
Yeah.
Anybody see anything that they'd like to adjust, or are we good to proceed on that?
On the medical side, did the attorney look over that to make sure like the language is good with that? There's no.
It came straight from the IUC, the Iowa Utilities Commission. It's in the Iowa Administrative Code, so that language is pulled directly from there.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else questions on that? Motion to approve,
Motion to approve.
motion by Gooding,
Second.
second by Hamilton, all in favor say aye.
I,
Aye,
I like.
nays? Ayes have it. Okay. All right, so then 5E would be the consideration to approve resolution 2025-16, repealing resolution 2022-06 of electrical water establishing charges or changes and other conditions to the budget billing plan. So that would be the follow memorandum that we all have here.
Yes, but that would just be updating that resolution, the same as updating it in that utility billing policy, just to match.
Do you have any questions on that? Okay, so do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion with Pavich,
Second.
second by Gooding. And with the resolution, we need a roll call vote, please, Gage.
Peterson,
I,
Gooding,
Aye.
Pavlovich,
I.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Quickly.
Aye. Okay. Motion carries. And moving on to 5F, any department updates, Sadie?
Yeah, so, I met with Gabe and Colin, with Doppler that they had previously met with before. So I joined them on their second meeting. She just kind of did another overview, to catch me up. We did decide that it would be beneficial to bring in all the other departments. So currently we use an answering service, and this basically would replace that. So we did invite Tony, Nevada, Keegan, if they'd like to join in on a meeting next week to just kind of see if that is something that they would be interested in. And then hopefully at our next meeting, we'll have more information to give you guys on that.
Okay.
And then I did get an email from Andy with Compass in regards to the MISO planning resource auction. Basically said that MISO admitted that they were running their PRA incorrectly since planning year 1819. They said it was caused by a third party reporting incorrect data that was incorporated into their calculations. They didn't have a lot of information to provide other than that according to their tariff, they're only required to correct the current planning year 25-26. But that meant that if we were short capacity, which we were, that we should see a credit. I did email him today and he said he is planning to send an email tomorrow with more information and he should have the actual credits and charges that would be given to us for that. And then I did get an email from Kevin Condon with CIPCO or Central Iowa Power Cooperative. He reached out to initiate conversation about a project CIPCO is proposing to build just outside of Maysville. It's a Hickory Grove generating facility is the name, and it's a 240 megawatt gas generating facility. The power plant is to run during critical peak demand periods to help maintain reliable, cost-effective power supply to its members, but also provide stability to Iowa's electric grid. He did provide a link to their project landing page, so I can give that to all of you if you want to look at that. There's a lot of good information on there. And the last thing I have is the PCA for Q3 that just got reviewed and adjusted. It is increasing. So it'll be 0.04318 cents from the 0.03461 cents it was at, which is about 24.8% increase. That will reflect on the 10/1 billing. I am hoping because consumption with this billing cycle, it will come down, that residents won't really see much of that increase. And then, like I said, with MISO, hopefully with that credit coming and then our fall power cost dropping, that next quarter should definitely be coming down.
Yeah, just, don't want to create any false hopes with that new, CIPCO plant outside of Maysville, but that's what they consider a peaker plant. So generate when wholesale rates are high enough when they can make enough money to turn things on. So it's not a continuous, source unless rates go high enough for them to say, let's go ahead and generate. Yeah, so. And there's many peaker plants across the United States, so this would just be another one. So I think that some of the resident feedback I had was, oh, well, this maybe will help reduce our rates. No, it's a peaker plant, so it won't run unless they're making enough money on it, so.
So back to the MISO miscalculation.
Yep.
They've been off since 2018.
Yes.
What was the credit they were required to go back to? What's the date?
So they are claiming that according to their tariff, they're only required to correct the current planning year, 25-26.
Do you have any idea of that amount of money?
So they said for the financial impact for this planning year was at $280 million, with 80% of it being in the summer months, which is where we saw that huge increase.
There's gonna be more to come then.
Yes, other than that, she couldn't give me any additional information, so I did reach out again, and he said he was working on an email. Hopefully send out tomorrow with those.
Did he give you any reference to that tariff?
Yeah.
Like to go back and look, see if you can get that from
Okay.
him, and then like we can research that or like between one of us and see, because a lot of times those tariffs, people are just gonna fly with that.
It could be a lot of money.
Any other updates, Gage? Anything from you? Nevada, anything from you? All right, moving along to number 6. Electric department, any 6A, any outages?
We had one outage on 9/13 at 2 PM at 123 West Spring Street, caused by a melted fuse on a transformer. Hot day, happens every once in a blue moon. Power was restored at 2:50 PM and 9 customers were affected.
And that was the only one?
We did have another one, but it wasn't power. It wasn't, side of the power, a main fuse had busted. I came in to check it out, but at the end of the day, it was just a main breaker and flipped off, so
Okay,
all was well.
all right. And moving on to 6B, any other department updates for electric department?
Currently, the crew has just completed, the IUC vegetation and tree trimming inspections, to be sent out to the tree trimming crews. We will eventually get quotes from and hired out and everything. We've completed new electrical services, Grunwald's and Townsend's. They get also one in Ivy Acres. We're also in preparation and preparing for the new, car wash, getting a service in for them, getting them, conduit wire and specs to pour their new concrete pad. And Devin and Dalton are leaving tomorrow morning to go head up to Ankeny to go take their IAMU class. And they'll be gone till Friday, and Monday next week, we'll be finishing up work on the Lutheran Church on North Fifth Street. So,
Okay. Did you get a transformer size from Verts on that car wash?
so Colin and I had gone out to Davenport to go check a bunch of tunnel car washes, and we had a mixed batch between 300 kVA to 500 kVA. I think we're gonna err on the side of caution and give them a 500 kVA. If you guys would like, if we need to pull numbers out later and give them back to you, and we had decided that it needs to be lower, we could do that at a later date, but I think the 500 is gonna be our best bet.
Because he's got the Elmore location, that might be,
That we stopped at the Elmore location. It's not a tunnel one, I don't think, unless, or I guess the one out on the main drag there, that one is a tunnel. That one had a 300.
okay, is that something we have, or do we have to source that and bring it in?
We have, I think we have a 300 on the dock, but if we were to put in a 500, we'd have to order one in and get it coming in. So.
Go with the 5 then? Or do you want some more numbers from that?
Yeah,
We already had sent it out to, I can't remember.
Yeah, like consultants, yeah. They have to respond,
Yeah,
Yeah,
all the information, they'll be coming back to us with numbers and transfer size.
sure,
So-
yeah. Sounds good.
Can we get a little introduction of you? We didn't meet you really the last week.
Oh, yes.
Or anything about your,
Yes, Gabe Stricker, started work back here a long time ago, back in 2018 as a groundman, came back from Tennessee in March and was hired on as a jerker lineman. So.
Great, thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to number 7, water department. 7A, water main breaks.
No breaks.
7B, water test results. So I think everybody had that in their package.
Yeah, back to fast. The fluoride is testing right at the raw level.
Yeah,
We are getting the fluoride pump fixed this week, so we can start feeding and get back to that 0.7.
so that still hasn't been resolved yet.
Echo has been out on a lot of other service calls, so is scheduling. So this week they're at Scott County Pool, fixing some things out there, and then they'll get to us this week. And
And
then,
that's just replacing the new pump.
yep, they're putting a whole new pump, and then they're actually gonna put valves and they're replacing the whole system.
It looks like everything else come back negative.
Yep, our nitrite good on the finished water, so we're in compliance.
Okay. So moving on to number 7C, discussion and consideration to approve PVC water mains. I know we tabled it last time, there's more information, I think Abby was kind enough to share some more information, that she had pulled up. So, more discussion on that. How's everybody feeling about it?
I'll be honest, I don't think there's enough of information out there yet. I know it's been in existence and he gives a lot of good stuff. I've read some other stuff and I just think as a whole in the community, not knowing we also have Iowa American that's not really using that. And they're the subject matter experts in this. Like, I
I
don't
think they
know,
have some jurisdictions they are using it, right?
but not.
It's set by the city.
Yeah.
They follow the city code for the city that they're operating in on what their specs are.
At this time.
Davenport, back to neither one without it.
Yeah, no, I know some of those surrounding, some have it, some don't.
I guess I get kind of concerned about the leaching of the plastic, you know, I mean, plastic is plastic, so it can leach.
But even most of the plumbing houses nowadays are PVC, PEX tubing and
Yes, I'm just saying what my concern was, you know, I'm not saying that.
Did you read
I
I sent that EPA research paper, and the pre-1977 plastic was susceptible to leaching, but the modern from research is no longer susceptible to that leaching.
so that was the CPVC, I believe, or I remember there was one that wasn't suitable for potable water way back.
Yeah,
But everything new nowadays is,
I think the one that was not suitable was like, I think it was polyethylene.
so what we have now meets the ANSI standards, was at 61, I think it is.
That
Is
sounds
the,
right.
There's some
Yeah.
other research out there, though, but when they put it into accelerated aging and I mean, it's on that EPA fatal assessment draft sheet, that links to it. That it does show breakdown, now, not as much, but it does show breakdown over time because of being in a corrosive chlorinated environment. It was a research article that was done within the last 5 years. I don't remember the date. It was a link to there. It took it in, and then there's another thing, like the Weber report or something like that, 2011. And that one, and the other thing that gets me is that you're testing. Some of the testing of it is done at the water intake and not, or like the water source. So it's before it actually leaves the treatment plant that they're testing some of this stuff. So they're looking at PVs, like polyvinyl chloride elements or microplastics that are found in groundwater prior to actually going through plumbing, water main systems and stuff. So some of that is subject. I mean, the one was like 110-hour chlorinated water in like a C900 test. And is it sitting in there for 110 hours, or was that just running it through and then testing to see if there was any microplastics or anything like that afterwards? Like some of those, I don't know. I have a hard time believing, based on our exposure to PVC going brittle and seeing things and looking at some research videos, and if you're not tapping the C900 and you're not proficient at it, and that's one of the things that gets me, is that if that pipe splits, you're shutting down for a really long time, because it's a big, depending on if it's an 8 or a 12, it's been hard for these cities to repair. Oskaloosa's had a couple, Des Moines had a couple, and they've been down for like 2 days in those areas without water. Because they've been massive. It splits lengthways and then the whole thing is shot.
and I've seen, what you had shared, and then also, research, and it's, to me, it's all over the place. You have certain groups that are definitely against it, and then you have other groups that you read that, it's a success story, so.
I guess I would like to know what the benefit to the citizens of Eldridge is.
I think one would be what overall lower cost. And,
initially.
But we said we didn't know what the long terms were gonna be in effect, and I think, Dale, he's got his ones in Long Grove, like you said, for 20 years, like, no issues yet. But like, what are the long-term cost effects? I mean, we probably aren't gonna be around for that. You know, what it's gonna have on the community and such.
sure. No, it's, obviously, absolutely something we have to
You know, and I think
consider.
you gotta consider also a little bit of this from some of the things I read too, is some of the training that's involved in it. To get people up to speed. I know Keegan said he's familiar with some things, but just the details and in my opinion, we don't have enough of that to go on. And like you said, and Abby, both, Keegan, you've got plus, minus, we see these articles, we've all done our research that it's not leaning towards the left or right. And it's, to me, there's nothing really concrete there that's saying, yes, this is good for us and move forward with it.
Other than the initial cost, I mean, cause you still have. Your joints are all. Are all ductile joints, so those still have to be wrapped in order to prevent those from being corroded. So. If that's the issue, that still needs to be done regardless. Cause otherwise you're putting in a PVC pipe with a ductile iron joint. And the joint will still corrode and you'll have that be a weak spot. And that's gonna blow apart eventually then, if you're not doing that.
I think we've also had some ductile iron failures as well, right? So,
I said, the breaks that we've had on Blackhawk Trail, that pipe is less than 20 years old and we had blowouts on it due to corrosion. So
Was
that's,
it wrapped
no,
correctly? And that's the problem.
prior to that, we didn't have requirements.
If
for
we require it to be wrapped, it shouldn't have nearly the problems. If it's not done correctly, yeah, you might have something, but that's with anything. You install something wrong, anything that you install wrong, you're gonna have a problem. So that's my 2 cents, I guess.
hey, anybody else? Jeff, Luann?
I still worried about the leaching, you know, I know, we talk about chlorine in it and stuff, but, you know, it's as corrosive as it is, that we put fluoride in, and it made me, the fluoride we're dumping in our water to begin with is very corrosive because it eats the valves off of your steel and stuff. I mean, what's the fluoride gonna do to this plastic? I mean, just a question. Does anybody know? Because I didn't read anything about any of that.
The fluoride dosing that we do is so low that as it's moving through the system, unless it's like stagnant, I don't think it's.
And it's gonna be overnight, so I mean, and the water doesn't run overnight. So it's only gonna be stagnant at some point in time, you know.
I don't know if it'd be long enough to have
To be concentrated probably times.
the acidic value of like purely concentrated fluoride.
Mark, thoughts?
And there's a lot of stuff that points to both directions, so. I guess the fact that Davenport and Bettendorf don't use it weighs heavily on my decision.
Yeah, I mean, there's some surrounding communities do have a PVC, so, again, I, like everybody else, I've seen the studies, good and bad, but, you know, the PVC does meet the ANSI standards, so, I'll make a motion to approve and we'll put it out and see if I get a second. Not hearing a second. Motion does not carry. Okay. 7D, discussion and consideration to approve replacement of the Clearwell float sensors. There's some big packages there that came back. Electric pump, just under 4,000. Tri-City. 5,500, and it looks like both included labor.
Is this the one we kicked back the other day?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, electric pump didn't have, we weren't sure if it had the labor included, right?
yeah,
Yeah, the original bid, we because they didn't know how long it would take for them. I just asked them to put in their actual labor cost.
Anybody else have any questions on that? Looks like electric pump is roughly $1,500 less, so. Make a motion, one or the other.
Motion and electric pump approval
Motion by
location.
Pavlik for electric pump,
second.
second by Peterson, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, nays, ayes have it, all right, look at this. And next item, 7E, discussion and consideration to approve quotes for AC heater units for the power and chlorine rooms at the water treatment plant. What's here in front of us,
I already bought Keegan's phone today on a few questions. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. They're valid questions.
So,
I have questions. These quotes are confusing.
they are confusing.
So the Peterson quote has two rooms on it, right?
Mhm.
The climate engineer one has one.
It's lumped together, and I've asked Josh for Climate to give me a breakdown of cost. So he'll actually, 'cause I initially talked to him, like, if it's included both rooms or is it separate? And he said the quote includes both rooms, but he didn't break it down into which is which. But I've now asked him to include a breakdown of which one is going, what cost is going to what room.
And are they? Third one's precision.
Yep.
That one has one. And then the second portion. Oh, is that the same type of heater in the second portion?
Second one for the power room. Yeah, the label breakdown by room.
it's kind of one.
Includes the power room. With their ceiling and
And then we checked, I'm assuming all these units that they proposed are all like. Not for residential and having control for the corrosion elements.
When they did their on-site visits, I expressed the corrosion factor of the environment they're in, so we needed corrosion resistant. We talked to Abby today. She did research. It seems like that the ones that are building are residential, and probably just normal corrosion resistance.
So I saw that price and that's kind of it's kind of a house price.
Yeah,
So that's why I was like looking, I double checked it. I'm like, wait a minute.
Well, at the top of the page for the precision, it says entry level series.
Oh, I missed that. I didn't see that.
I guess I just want to make sure they're quoting their like for like and what we're close.
so that's I think,
Oh,
so
yeah.
precision is the like for like, and I think theirs is like a Mitsubishi is what I think they're going with.
we're gonna stop to get you.
That's that's.
It would be nice if you once you got all the bids, have a spreadsheet that has a breakdown of the size of the unit. Warranties, is the only one I see that even talks about warranty was Peterson's 10-year. I would have a line that so you can look on one sheet and compare every bid.
Yep.
I think that would be a lot easier to digest and try to,
I think going forward on everything, it would be, not just this particular case, but
basically the tabulation form.
yeah.
Well, and I mean, if what they were, I mean, we've had problems with that. It's a higher unit, right? That's in there, I thought you said.
Yeah, so it's the split unit is going in the power room. And then
Okay.
there's a heater that would be going in the.
And the chlorine room. And the chlorine room hasn't worked in how long?
Before my time, so.
So if the heater is in there working right, it might reduce some things.
Well, the worry in the winter time is because those bottles do get colder as they're pumping. So when it's below zero, we have an actual fear of those bottles freezing, and we're not actually disinfecting. So we just need to keep the room heated,
Out of temperature.
right?
And it's in corrosive environment and it's super damp in the other room.
For the power room. It just, that's a separate room,
Right,
but there's no ventilation in there.
okay.
So there's like no moving air, and the split unit that's in there right now not functional. So we're not moving any kind of air in there, so on hot days, they can get up to 100 degrees in there. And I mean, it is just a power room, but
But,
we'd like the temperature control
yeah,
to mitigate any
Corrosion.
moisture and
yeah,
stop corrosion.
because that's where we replace that. Where we just replace something in there. That's right. I mean, Fujitsu has a corrosion, like a Proline model. If that's what they're quoting, that would be nice. I just don't, they didn't include a model number, so that was my problem with it.
Before the meeting, I did reach out to all vendors
Yeah,
to revisit these. To make sure that they're for highly corrosion resistant. Then I actually reached out to our DNR rep to see if there's any engineering requirements that need to be met for the chlorine room
Yeah.
because of the chemical storage.
you're
So
probably gonna, yeah.
we'll see if the DNR comes back with any requirements, and then we can give those to the vendors so they can build their unit quotes off of that.
Because most of the outside units, those should already be, the fan blades, like all of those compressors should be corrosion resistant. Just
Is there-
because they're outdoors, that's all gonna say corrosion resistant, but it's the head unit that can be different. For those that
Yeah.
would be nice to make sure we have the right coils on that.
So the climate indicate for the chlorine room, the type of heater that we would, so they have that.
They just have pretty much a price and a scope of work. I did request prior to this meeting, them to give me a new quote that breaks down the cost of which unit is going where. But that is a quote for the chlorine room and the power room.
We just don't know what we're, other than the Fujitsu and the, mechanical room. We don't know what we're getting from the heater.
Climate installed the one in the power room that's currently there, and it's a hair,
And it doesn't work.
and it's not functional. I'm assuming they've replaced it like for like.
How long ago was that?
That was also installed before my time, but I think it was like fairly new right when I started. So I've been 6 years, 7 years.
Would that be under warranty? Well, I mean, if they have a 10-year warranty, which I don't know, maybe they don't.
That one, I don't know if that one is. It depends if it's a residential one or if it was a commercial unit too. That's where you're gonna get into a big difference.
It looks like there's a pretty wild swing
It
between
is.
Precision and Peterson, and, I mean, you guys, or Peterson's, quoting an explosion-proof type heater that's stainless steel, so it's definitely gonna be better suited for the environment. And Precision just says we're gonna have a 7,500 watt electric heater with electronic thermostat and remote controller, so I don't see the details of what we're getting.
I don't know how that could even be accurate. I mean, I just recently we've had 2 split units put in and it wasn't under $5,000.
Well, for the heat-
residential.
For the heater, it's not a split unit. Yeah, the heater's not a split unit, it's,
No, I understand that. I'm just saying, if you take the split unit out of it, putting that heater in there for $2,000. Just seems way off from everybody else.
but it's definitely a harsh environment, it's in the chlorine room, so I mean,
I just wanted to have apples to apples and I
Yep.
will be voting anyway.
Yep.
Just to let everybody know, but I just wanna make sure that whatever we put in there, it is right for that environment, so that way we don't have to do this again in 3 years.
Well,
Whatever.
I think that's kind of why we're in some of these situations, is because the lowest bid was approved, wasn't possibly the right piece of equipment for the environment that it's in, and now, let's just say that's 5 years old. Now we're back spending 7,500
$2,000.
to do it again.
yeah. No, I agree, and we've seen that with some of the other items in there that have been moved to a better environment, so again, I have a hard time believing that this one with precision is stainless steel or, maybe not suitable for the environment, so I mean, we can get more details, we wanna do that and take it up again next
Yeah.
time,
I think we need to.
yeah.
When you write any type of RFP, I mean, that gives them, here's what my requirements are for this piece of equipment, so that the vendors know exactly what to bid, and like, if they can't meet it, they call it out and say cannot meet, or.
I don't have anything specifically written out, but anytime they do site visits and they're looking at the units, I break down the environment is highly corrosive, and that's what's destroying these things. So we need corrosion resistant units. But then it almost seems like they just replace like for like.
We're not talking $1,000 here, we're talking, it seems like we've done a lot of this stuff in the last 6 to 8 months, maybe to have it in writing so they can bid on it, and then I'm just throwing that out there.
Or even after you meet with them, if they're doing site visits and just send them back like a reiteration of what you need in a proposal.
And if they have something, obviously, they can make recommendations on what they think we need. It's just an idea.
I think we kind of ran into that with the transfer switch, contractor that maybe was gonna provide something more than we needed or didn't provide enough, and, so, I agree, again, if we have something we like in an RFP, that we put it out to everybody, then we know we're getting apples to apples, but I don't think we're there yet, on what I see here. So, okay, motion to table,
Motion.
motion by Peters on the table,
Second.
second by Petrovich. All in favor of tabling, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, nays, ayes have, table. Okay, and then 7F, Department updates, Keegan?
Yeah, the water tower sandblasting for the exterior has been complete. They moved on to the interior, which they plan to have completed by the end of this week. Don't want to put words in their mouths, but hopefully they're starting to paint next week or early October. ACO is replacing the fluoride and caustic pumps this week. They're also replacing the hardware for both of those. Lino instrumentation will be out Thursday to calibrate our testing equipment. The new meter reading system is fully functional, and we're actually doing the maiden voyage tomorrow. From the first trial run, it seemed like meter reading's now gonna take 45 minutes instead of 4 hours. The system is making it fast and more efficient, and it stays that way. All torpor was out Monday, so yesterday. They tested for stray voltage on the generator. That could be causing the issue with the radiator. They did find stray voltage. I think it was 9 volts AC. I think that was right. He took me out there and showed me what he was doing. He tested with a ground wire and it did eliminate that stray voltage. So he put a permanent ground wire in, and then prior to putting the ground wire in, he took a sample of the coolant to get a baseline. And then in December, when they come back for our annual inspection or annual maintenance, they're gonna take another coolant sample to see if the ground wire fixed the issue. And then during that maintenance, they do a drain and flush and get rid of any of the shavings that might be in there.
And we're verifying the proper coolant. I think was it Altifer that,
They,
wrong in the past?
they keep telling me that coolant is just coolant. And I was like, I want to say no. So I told them that they need to go with the John Deere coolant that was used by Martin because it's meant for that.
Yeah.
So moving forward, we'll just have them purchase that John Deere coolant, and every time they do a service, they'll be using the John Deere coolant.
Okay,
ISG is in the final stages of completing their hydraulic model. They requested some few last bits of information, but as soon as they complete that hydraulic model, they plan to do a visit with us to go over the findings and then go through recommendations on any improvements that the city might need. And then, on a whim, I applied to take my grade fours. I didn't think I'd be approved, but I was approved to take my grade fours. So I will be taking those in October.
Excellent.
Good luck.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
getting in. Now you got that.
That will be maxed out. There won't be anything that we couldn't accomplish. So, that's all I got.
where do we stand with the transfer switch, the ATS?
So River Cities has consolidated the surge protection, the transfer switch, and then the quick connect junction box.
Yes.
I've asked Tri-City to do the same. They
Okay,
got back to me today. They're gonna consolidate the whole package, so one company is gonna be
okay,
doing everything for generator redundancy, surge protection, and then the transfer switch.
so we should see something next meeting.
Should be something next to me.
Okay, good, good. Thank you, Keegan.
Thank you.
It's a short list this week.
They were missing 5.
Okay, so next item is the, number 8, participation in IBDA NISO tranche 2.1 transmission project. So 8A.
And- Sorry to interrupt. Before you go into closed session, just to check, if you guys feel that you need a closed session to discuss further on it, I know there was that meeting on the 16th. They didn't really provide any more information than what you guys kind of discussed at the last meeting. So if you don't feel like you need the closed session, you don't have to go into closed and you can make that decision.
Yeah, unfortunately, I had a conflict and I wanted to be on that call, but I was not able to, so I was gonna rely on you to provide any high level details or if there was any more information provided.
No, I mean, it was just another overview.
Another,
Really,
yeah, okay. Does anybody else need any more discussion on that or? I mean, there's no more details than what we discussed last time, so.
There's a call on, October 3rd.
Yeah, what was that, David?
Actually, I So, the 26th on Friday, we need that, the firm number, and then, 10/1, we will have another meeting.
So we have to have a number before we have another meeting.
And I think we kind of discussed the last time some different scenarios, so
Yeah,
I guess we can be thinking about that. Make any decisions next time. Okay. All right, so no need for a closed session then. Moving on to number 9. Your motion to adjourn.
So we do need a decision. So if you feel you need to go into closed session and discuss it further and make that decision, we definitely can still do that. It was just letting you know, you don't have to if you feel like you can vote on an amount for that nomination.
Formal nominations are due on the 26th.
Yep.
In 3 days.
3 days.
But they were not binding, right? It wasn't a commitment, it was just,
Nope, so that doesn't actually, that is due October 24th, the agreement signed.
So we could say we're gonna potentially put this much amount of money.
So your formal nomination is due the 26th, which is you telling them what amount of money you're gonna put in. It's not legally binding until you execute the agreement, but once you formally submitted that nomination amount, you are considered that you're participating, and the 10/1 meeting is to go over the 28B agreement and the IPPA agreement that everybody's gonna be a party to, so that that can start coming out for action, because that's what will be binding and will be executed at the end of October. So the agreement drafting and execution will start taking place as of October 1st. So whatever you submit this week is,
But we can go into a closed session and discuss is something we want to move forward with, not move forward with. And come up with a general consensus if we do any amounts, so.
I don't know if I remember what amounts.
So maybe we should, let's,
Go to a closed
yeah,
session.
let's go ahead and,
Just up to err on the side of caution.
yes, I agree. Okay. So it's 8A, potential closed session, review and discuss records which require authorized by state or federal law to be kept confidential, to discuss proprietary information and information required by a non-customer contracting party to be kept confidential pursuant to a non-disclosure agreement which relates to electric transmission planning and construction and critical energy infrastructure, and to discuss information contained in records in the custody of the government body that are confidential records pursuant to section 22.7 subsection 50. Do I hear a motion to go into closed session?
Second.
Hang on. You made a motion. So. Yes, sir.
So
Who
it's
made the motion?
that you can wait to do in, when we're in closed
And
session.
closed session.
To read this section?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So motion by Patovich, second by Peterson to go into closed session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nays, ayes have
roll
it.
call, sorry.
Peterson.
Aye.
Gooding.
quotes, one of the church quotes and.
Patovich.
Aye.
Hamilton.
Aye.
Press
Me, it's easy to understand, you know.
So time now is
I like doing that. I'll do that.
6:07. And we're going
I
into
just like
closed
for
session.
everybody to compare.
I can understand it for them. They got a lot more quotes than we probably ever will, or I got some. So, yeah, actually.